The flight was supposed to be routine, until the captain refused to greet a polite black passenger standing at his cockpit door. He dismissed her like she didn't exist, in front of his entire crew. What he didn't know was that the woman he'd just humiliated wasn't an ordinary traveler. She was a silent storm sent by the airline's board to evaluate him. By the time the plane touched down in London, the man who ruled the skies was about to lose everything he'd ever commanded. Captain Ethan Ward believed he owned the sky. To him, every takeoff was a coronation. The cockpit wasn't just a workstation, it was his private kingdom, sealed off from ordinary humanity. On that morning flight from New York to London, his confidence felt unshakable. His reputation flawless. His record untarnished. His arrogance complete. As the first-class passengers boarded, his co-pilot, Marcus Lee, double-checked the systems. "All good, Captain," Marcus said. Ethan nodded without looking up. The flight attendants moved gracefully through the cabin, welcoming travelers with smiles and calm precision. Then a quiet voice at the cockpit door changed everything. "Good morning, Captain. Wishing you a safe flight." A woman in her late 50s stood there, poised, calm, professional. She spoke with the kind of grace that came from experience, not entitlement. But Ethan didn't even lift his eyes. He continued tapping on his console, deliberately ignoring her. The silence stretched. Then, in a voice as cold as steel, he said to his co-pilot, "Marcus, close the door." The click of that door was louder than thunder. Flight attendant Denise, standing nearby, froze for a heartbeat. She'd seen arrogance before, but this was contempt. The woman smiled faintly, masking the sting of humiliation. "Thank you," she said softly to Denise as she was led to her seat. She took out a small notebook, placed it neatly on her lap, and simply observed. The engines roared to life, and Apex Air 2109 lifted off into the clouds. Inside the cockpit, Ethan was in his element, controlling power, precision, and perfection. To him, people were variables. Machines were constants. Marcus noticed it, that faint sneer every time the crew spoke over the intercom. "Turbulence ahead. Moderate intensity," Marcus warned as they crossed the Atlantic. Ethan didn't look up. "We stay on course. Passengers can handle a little bump." Marcus frowned. "Captain, it's building fast! We can reroute 20 miles south." Ethan turned to him, his glare sharp as a blade. "I said we stay on course. I'm not wasting fuel to make nervous passengers feel cozy." The aircraft shook violently minutes later. Coffee spilled, cries echoed, and Denise's team scrambled to secure the cabin. Through it all, the woman in seat 3A remained calm, her eyes fixed on the cockpit door. She took quiet notes. Every shudder of the plane was another line in her record. When the turbulence cleared, Ethan's voice came over the speaker, smooth, rehearsed, arrogant. "Ladies and gentlemen, that was a bit rougher than expected. Nothing to worry about. Your captain's got you covered." Denise exhaled sharply, disgusted. The woman in 3A caught her eye and smiled gently. "You and your team handled that perfectly," she said. Denise hesitated. "Thank you, ma'am." "It's always a little tense with Captain Ward." "How so?" the woman asked calmly. "He calls it efficiency," Denise whispered. "We call it unnecessary risk. He pushes through weather just to prove he can." The woman nodded thoughtfully and made another note. Hours later, London appeared beneath them. The landing was flawless, of course it was. Ethan grinned, basking in his self-made glory. "Perfect as always," he said, glancing at Marcus. Marcus forced a nod. "Smooth landing, Captain." When passengers began to deplane, the woman in 3A lingered. Denise stood at the door, smiling warmly. "Thank you for flying with us, Dr. Grant," she said. Ethan's head twitched slightly at the name, but he dismissed it. The woman paused at the cockpit. "First Officer Lee," she said gently, "thank you for your professionalism today. It was a pleasure to fly with you." Marcus smiled, relieved. "Thank you, ma'am. Have a wonderful day." Then she looked at Ethan. "Captain Ward," she said evenly. He didn't turn. He pretended not to hear. "Captain Ward?" she repeated, her voice cutting through the quiet cabin. "I'm speaking to you." He turned slightly, irritation burning in his eyes. She met his gaze calmly. "Thank you for the flight," she said. He zipped his bag shut in silence and turned away. That final act of dismissal sealed his fate. 2 days later, Ethan arrived at Apex Air headquarters for what he thought was his promotion meeting. He had already imagined the title Fleet Captain, the future of the new A380 program. The moment he entered the boardroom, the illusion cracked. At the far end of the table sat CEO Richard Cole, and next to him, the woman from seat 3A. She was no longer a passenger. She was Dr. Olivia Grant, board director and former Air Force colonel. The same woman he'd dismissed twice. Cole's voice was calm but deadly. "Captain Ward, meet Dr. Grant. She was tasked with assessing cockpit leadership across our long-haul routes." Ethan's mouth went dry. "Sir, this is a misunderstanding." Dr. Grant opened her notebook. "Not a misunderstanding, Captain. You refused to greet a passenger, dismissed your co-pilot's safety recommendation, and deliberately flew through turbulence to assert dominance. Those are facts." Ethan's voice cracked. "I've flown 20 years without a single incident, and you almost became one," she cut in sharply. "Leadership isn't arrogance. You endangered passengers to feed your ego. That's not command, that's recklessness." The CEO slid a file across the table. "Effective immediately, you're terminated for gross misconduct. The FAA will be notified. You'll also be relieved of all flight privileges pending review." Ethan's vision blurred. The world he ruled had vanished beneath him. Dr. Grant's voice was calm, but it carried a weight that crushed him. "You treated me like I was invisible, Captain. But I was the only one in that plane truly seeing you." Security escorted him out. He handed over his ID badge at the desk, the same badge that had opened cockpit doors around the world. Now it was just plastic. Months later, he sat alone in the cockpit of an old freight plane in Alaska, surrounded by metal and silence. No passengers, no crew, no voice left to command. Only the wind and the echo of his own arrogance. He once flew above everyone. Now he flew beneath them all.